I think it would be on this,
Yeah,
like a boat.
No, it's actually better that way. Big protection area, better to protect. That's that gate used to be on the 50 mark bill, the old mark bills.
Oh, yeah,
I think it was on the 50. Yeah, it was on the picture on there. Beautiful town. I highly recommend it. If you want to have a neat trip, take a week. 4 days would work too, but it's really hard. I'm pushing. And you plan on going to Lübeck, Hamburg, and Bremen. If you want to do it right, you start with Bremen, then you go to Hamburg, and last to Lübeck. Because then you're, as far as historic and buildings left, Lübeck is almost completely intact. The other two were flattened in the war. This is the main square of Lübeck, and this, out of these buildings is the Hanseatic League was governed. This was the center of the Hanseatic League.
there's like a lot of buildings in Hamburg too.
It's Gothic, yes, but it's a little bit smaller and more quaint. Hamburg is big and in between spots of Nottingham. The building here, this L shape is where everything happened. Gothic all around except the wider looking, right here, this here, wider looking, that's a Renaissance edition. So in the latter part of the Hanseatic League, 1450, 1500, they had extra money and they wanted to show everybody that we are not over the hill yet. They hired an architect, he added that to the city hall, and on the back side there's a couple other things in Renaissance style.
These circular windows?
They're there for letting air through because it's a big huge wall. If you didn't, they were afraid it'd keep blowing down. Now you can see the complex more. All the little towers, that whole L shape, rather large area for a medieval town. The seat of the mayor, whoever, and whatever other officials they had for the whole league. And then the major, huge church of the citizens in town. I told you something wrong before. When I was pointing out the three areas on that aerial shot, the lower church, the first one, was the church of the bishop. This is the church of the citizenry, and further out was the monastery. You're going to see something similar like that tomorrow in Augsburg. That church is huge.
Did they add those support braces later on?
No, you need
That's your flank buttresses.
That's your buttresses.
Well, yeah, because like you see the spider churches, like that had some for support. Like when they started doing the Gothic style, they would collapse about 2/3 of the way up. And so they had these like spider legs, like you see them in Metz.
Yeah, it's called a flying buttress.
Is that what I mean?
These are buttresses, yeah. The difference between a Romanesque church and a Gothic church is that they figured out they can take the buttress weight out of the church and put it on the outside, whereas in the Romanesque it's part of the church. That's why the Romanesque has these monster, huge, meter-and-a-half pillars.
Right.
Because that is the buttress itself. And then they later figured out, we can cut that down, make these slender, give the room inside more the appearance that we're all together, make it higher, and they shifted to weight carrying on the outside. That's a big, huge architectural change, besides pointing the arch, which can carry more weight. I'm right next to the city hall looking up. Anybody been to Munich? And the big, huge, the dome, the Frauenkirche, all brick, built roughly at the same time. This thing is just as big. It's gigantic. And here you can see your buttresses. And the reason they look white before is because they have copper roof that's oxidized. And the reason I say it's flying is because you have that space underneath. See it?
Yeah, like the spider legs.
Okay. The rest of the world considers these to be wings. Wings, okay? Wings on the side of the whole thing.
Spider. I don't forget that.
This is a thing called Little Venice. Any place have a bridge and some houses and a river and a boat, it's Venice. But the bush on the right, on the left, if you were able to look past it, that's where the gate is. The first church tower, which looks bigger than the other one, is the one I climbed to, took the pictures, and the other one is much, much taller. That's the main church in town. I mean, it's a really picturesque town. Why? Because very little of it was bombed. There's not much worth to bomb them. The industry has passed it. Whatever. Now I'm outside the city hall, outside the city, and that's a cool shot of the south. Big church on the left, gate, the tower that I climbed, and then these four facades of assault houses. And if you would have come there in 1250, 80, or whatever, and taken away that bench in the traffic sign, it would look exactly the same. That's absolutely what it would look like in the Middle Ages. Close up, city leagues, big cities that were part of the league, they had their emblems here. And again, these towers are absolutely unnecessary. We don't need them. They're there for show. They're there to let everybody know we got money. We can waste. It was 1:30 a.m. My wife wrote me said, I want a picture of this without people. Then I had to find a post where I could put my camera so that you see it's not 100% sharp, almost, but not quite. It was handheld at a time when we didn't have the fancy electronics that you do today. And then this, another part of town. This is a gift of the richest merchant at the time in Lübeck to the poor of the city. It's a hospital, medieval hospital of the 1400s. Fascinating. The central part that holds everything together, the church. So if you come in and you die, you don't have to go far and get home. But no, the reason that church is there is because the people that were that benefited from his gift were supposed to, as long as they were there, twice a day pray for his soul forever. You'll hear something like that tomorrow again. But it was literally a gift. You guys were with me in Nuremberg, the place where we ate lunch, that whole Spital thing, same thing. A rich merchant donated this, and I put, what did I write here on your, can you read this in the dark? It says, sorry, it says, Spital, never mind, that's Augsburg. But it works in Augsburg too. Look at where it says Fuggerei on the bottom. Hit the light for a second, okay? It says Fuggerei. Jakob poker chips for St. Peter's Pearly Gate poker party. Good, read it again. Read it again.
Jacob's poker chips for St. Peter's Pearly Gate poker party.
What am I talking about?
No idea.
He's betting and gambling that he wants to go through St. Peter's Gate.
He wants to have some chips in his hands when he gets to the pearly gates, so St. Peter will let him in. You know, I did this good thing here. Same thing here. Not Augsburg, but Lübeck. Get it? Go ahead. He donated this partially because it was the right thing to do. Okay? And he made lots of money, so he did something for those that were not quite as fortunate as he was. But the secondary idea is also, otherwise he wouldn't have that church there to pray for his soul the whole time, that I may have done this or that in life, I need something that I did positive.
So it's his eternal bet that he's making it into heaven.
Well, his hope, yes.
Okay.
But look at the inside. Here's the church, brick, nicely decorated, painting and so forth. And he spent a bunch of money paying for those stained glass windows. The balcony's always there for the rich, the nobility. Remember above, remember we had the chapel with 3 layers? And he's above, not necessarily to look down on people, but to be safe from whoever else is down there. In this case, especially because there might be sick people down here. And this is so cool. It managed to survive for 600 years. A wooden ceiling, all those years, original. See it? Mm-hmm. And this was a hospital. These things that you look at, they're little cubicles. And they're exactly twice as big as a bed. Okay? The bed defines the width or the length of it, and then you have the space in front of it again with a little table and a door to get in. And that's where you separate rooms for the sick. From 1400 something. And there were 2 halls, one each equal on either side of the church. All intact, survived. And then this. This is a restaurant today, one of the fanciest to go to. Nowadays, you and I can go in there too. It used to be only for captains of ships. The upstairs is a small hotel. It still is only for rent to captains, seagoing captains that are in Lübeck at the time. Downstairs, they now let other people eat too. What's really neat in there is they have you walk in and the main room where the restaurant is almost as big as the whole building. And it's subdivided into 6 separate areas with big tables in there. And each of the areas are captain's tables, and the whole cabin of a wooden ship was taken out with the chairs and the table and everything and put in here. So you have the inside of 6 different captains' cabins from ships that were seagoing at one time. Schifferhaus, Gasthaus Schifferhaus. If you're there, gotta go at least have a beer. This is a back courtyard in the main city, in the old town. And I need to explain this. This row of buildings on the right here, they're actually very small. You can see they're barely more than one story high. The courtyard used to be this width times 2, okay, and those buildings in the middle. So the courtyard used to be very spacious. When Lübeck began to have many more people coming, lots of them were day wage earners. In other words, barely had a living. And they couldn't afford their own houses. So they started putting up these little shacks in the middle. And with time, they became relatively permanent. So you see many big houses and the courtyards crowded with these little homes. Now they're really in with the students and artists and so forth, etc. But they're actually housing for the extremely poor from the Middle Ages. The rule was, yes, you could build it, but you had to have enough space that's twice as wide as a coffin. So you could easily carry dead people in and out. You see how it narrows on the end there? Right? The rule was, okay, you can do it, but leave enough space, twice as wide as a coffin, so you carry the coffin and yourself too. Enough space to walk through. Pretty wild, huh? Mm-hmm. And then we went to the big city of Hamburg.
Gosh.
Here's a weird one. Bavarians and Hamburgers really get along well. Why? We cannot stand each other in the same room if we're two Berliner in Bavaria. Hamburgers, that's cool. Reagan, that's cool.